In this session, we want to explore cloud computing, cloud benefits, as well as cloud service types. And the learning objectives introduce you to cloud computing, essentially. So we're setting our baseline for our understanding of what the cloud is and how it works. And it covers things such as cloud concepts, deployment models, understanding and shared responsibility in the cloud. And after completing this learning objective, you should be able to define cloud computing, describe the shared responsibility model, define cloud models, including public, private, and hybrid, and identify appropriate use cases for each cloud model. Then we'll take a look at describing the consumption-based model as well as compare cloud pricing models. So these are all the things that you should learn through the session today. Cloud computing is the delivery of computing services over the internet, essentially. That's what it comes down to. You're borrowing resources from somebody else's computer. And so these computing services include common IT infrastructure. It could be virtual machines, could be storage, could be databases and networking. Cloud services also expand on the traditional IT offerings to include things like Internet of Things or machine learning and artificial intelligence. So because cloud computing uses the internet to deliver these services, it doesn't have to be constrained by physical infrastructure in the same way that a traditional data center is. So that means if you need to increase your IT infrastructure rapidly, you don't have to wait to build a new data center. You can use the cloud to rapidly expand your IT footprint. So some definitions can be found at the following link, but essentially we're covering the main concepts, which are compute, networking, and storage. So let's talk about the different types of clouds, essentially. So let's start with the private cloud. So a private cloud is in some ways the natural evolution from a corporate data center. It's a cloud that is delivering services maybe over the internet for the most part, and is used by a single entity. So it's still the corporate data center, but it's a private cloud, segmented and protected in the same way that a corporate data center might be, but it also provides much greater control for a company and also its IT department. However, it also comes with a greater set of cost as well as greater responsibilities around how to manage it. So the cost can be greater and fewer of the benefits of the public cloud deployment. So that's where we start getting into seeing how we can weigh the two together, essentially. So it can also be hosted from your on-site data center, and it also might be hosted in an official, or a dedicated data center that's off-site. So even potentially by a third party that has a dedicated data center for your company. So you can rent, a rack space in a protected data center. And that's also an option. Now, if we talk about public cloud, something like Azure, a public cloud is built, controlled, and maintained completely by a third-party cloud provider. So with a public cloud, anyone that wants to purchase cloud services can access and use resources. And the general public availability is a key difference between public and private clouds. So a public cloud is something that's owned by a cloud service provider or a hosting provider, and it provides resources and services to multiple organizations and users, and is primarily accessed over a secure network, which is typically the internet. A hybrid cloud is a computing environment that uses both public and private clouds. And it's in an interconnected way. So it's usually an interconnected environment in some way or shape or form. So a hybrid cloud environment can be used to allow private cloud to surge for increased temporary demand by deploying public cloud resources. So the hybrid cloud advantage is that it's there if you need the public cloud to help take on some demand that your private cloud can't handle. So the hybrid cloud can be used to provide that extra layer of security as well. So users can flexibly choose which services to keep in the public cloud and which to deploy to their private cloud. Keep in mind, though, that there is this concept of a hybrid server. It doesn't actually exist. There's not a hybrid cloud server that exists. You've got servers that run services that intercommunicate, that have a possibility of talking to each other and are aware of each other in some way, shape, or form. But there's not a server that's actually a hybrid server. You're just deploying and making sure that these services intercommunicate correctly. So an example would be, say, Exchange Online. You have an Exchange server on-premise that is aware and able to communicate directly with your Exchange Online service through other tooling such as Azure AD Connect or something like that. So hybrid cloud models have pretty much the following characteristics. You're looking at resource location. So specific resources run or are used on a public cloud, and others are run in the private cloud. You've also got cost and efficiency, so you can kind of choose the best of both worlds. Hybrid cloud models allow an organization to leverage some of the benefits of cost. So you can take advantage of the lower cost of cloud services in the public cloud, efficiency and scale when they're needed, but you also have your stability and use case of your hybrid local cloud if you need it. You also get that additional control where organizations retain management control of the private cloud, and then the public cloud is, through compliance, handled in a different way. And then technical skills, right? Obviously, technical skills are still required to maintain that private cloud and ensure that both cloud models operate effectively together. There's also this concept of a fourth cloud, and this is increasingly more and more likely, which is called multi-cloud. So a multi-cloud scenario, you use multiple public cloud providers and maybe use different features from different cloud providers, or maybe you just started your cloud journey with one provider and in the process of migrating to a different one. So regardless of the multi-cloud environment that you deal with, which could be two or more public cloud providers, and that's ultimately what a multi-cloud scenario would look like. Just two cloud providers that are working together to provide you with the services, or you might just be in the process of migrating between them. So moving on, essentially when we're looking at public cloud, we're looking at no capital expenditures to set up, or to scale up, because when we're talking about capital expenditures to scale, the public cloud is already ready to assume that scaling. We don't have to buy additional servers to deploy into the public cloud. They're already available. We just have to start taking advantage of them. Applications can be really quickly provisioned and deprovisioned, and you only pay for what you use. When we're talking about a hybrid or a private cloud, hardware must be purchased to start up and maintenance, and then organizations have complete control over the resources and security, which might be advantageous for some organizations, whereas for others that might not be the top concern. And organizations are responsible for maintaining that hardware and ensuring that everything's up to date. And then hybrid clouds provide that better flexibility, right? Where you can have some applications running on premise and some applications running in the cloud, and you control the security and compliance and legal requirements across both. So let's talk about CapEx and OpEx. So when we're comparing IT infrastructure models, there are really two types of expenses to consider. You've got your capital expenditure, which is your CapEx, and your operational expenditure, which is OpEx. CapEx is oftentimes your upfront expense, right, to purchase and secure tangible resources. So you need to buy a rack, you need to buy a data center, you need to buy a building or rent a building. You might have to repave the parking lot, pay for the power, water, facilities that people will use that are taking care of the data center. Those are all examples of CapEx. In contrast, OpEx is spending money on services or products over time. So if we're renting a convention center or leasing a company vehicle or signing up for cloud services, those are all examples of OpEx. And cloud computing falls under OpEx because cloud computing operates on a consumption-based model. So with cloud computing, you don't pay for the physical infrastructure or the electricity. You don't have to pay for the security or anything else associated with maintaining the data center. Instead, you're just paying for the IT resources that you use. And if you don't use any IT resources this month, then you don't pay for any IT resources. So essentially, CapEx is your spend on physical infrastructure upfront. Then you deduct the expense from your tax bill as well as your high upfront cost, but the value of the investment reduces over time. So, the data center that's already paid off, that you don't pay any, the equipment's already purchased, you still have 5 years of runtime left with your servers, then over time that expense will reduce. However, operational expense looks at the spend on services or products that are as required. You get the bill immediately, and then you can deduct those expenses from your tax bill within the same year. So you don't have any upfront cost. You're just paying for what you use, essentially. Now let's talk about consumption-based models. So when we're looking at a consumption-based model, there are many benefits, and that brings, benefits like no upfront cost, You don't have to purchase and manage costly infrastructure. Looking back at the CapEx, OpEx slide. So the chances are, even if you do end up purchasing those servers, you're likely not using them to their full potential. You're likely not using the infrastructure to its full potential. So ultimately, it's taking advantage of that aspect to, look at this from a consumption-based perspective, and switching to the cloud lets you take advantage of that functionality. So the ability to pay for additional resources essentially when they're needed. So you need to scale this server, you need to add additional bandwidth for it, then you just purchase it as you need it, reduce it afterwards. And then you can just stop paying for resources that are no longer needed. So as long as you're not using it, you're not paying for it. So let's start digging into describing the benefits of using cloud services. So this learning objective introduces you to the benefits of cloud computing, and it can offer you and your organization, a good view over how we can take advantage of the cloud to its fullest. So what we're going to look at here is what you should learn after this objective essentially is being able to describe the benefits of high availability and scalability in the cloud. You'll be able to describe the benefits of reliability and predictability, as well as security governance in the cloud, and talk about some of the advantages of manageability for the cloud. So when we're building or deploying a cloud application, two of the biggest considerations are uptime or availability, and the ability to handle demand or scale as necessary, right? Uptime and scale are two really important factors that affect the performance and reliability of cloud applications. So uptime, also known as availability, is the percentage of time that a cloud service is operational and accessible to its users. Scale, also known as scalability, is the ability of a cloud service to handle increasing or decreasing demand for resources without compromising the quality or functionality of the service. Uptime is measured in nines. So I'm sure everybody's heard the term 5 nines. Well, that's pretty much that determines how much downtime is allowed over a specific period of time for a cloud service. So for example, 5 nines or 99.999% uptime means that the cloud service can only have about 5.26 minutes of downtime per year. So uptime is affected by various factors. Things such as network failures, power outages, hardware malfunctions, software bugs. You could have a cyber attack or a natural disaster, and even sometimes human errors, because that never happens, right? So to ensure that high uptime, cloud providers use various techniques. So really to make sure that this high uptime remains something that's possible. But these cloud providers, what we'll use is things such as redundancy, backup and failover. We'll do load balancing, definitely keep monitoring all the services, and then disaster recovery in the worst case scenario. So scaling, on the other hand, is the ability of a cloud service to adapt to changing demand for resources. Things such as cloud computing, so computing power, storage space, memory, bandwidth, users. Scale can be achieved in two different ways. We've got a thing called vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. So vertical scaling, which is also known as scaling up or down, involves adding or removing power to an existing cloud server by upgrading or downgrading its memory, which would be its RAM, storage, or processing power. Horizontal scaling, also known as scaling in and out, involves adding or removing servers or machines to a cloud system by linking them together. So scale can also be elastic or static. An elastic scale means that the cloud service can automatically and seamlessly add or remove resources on demand. A static scale means that the cloud service requires manual intervention to add or remove resources. So uptime and scale are interrelated and necessary and essential for cloud applications, because a high uptime ensures that the cloud service is always available and also responsive to users, and then a high scale ensures that the cloud service can handle varying levels of demand as well as traffic without losing any quality or functionality. So together they really enable cloud applications to provide reliable, high performance and cost-effective solutions for businesses. So let's explore what that really means. So vertical scaling is also known as scaling up or down, right? And that involves adding or removing power to an existing cloud server by either upgrading or downgrading its memory, RAM, storage, or processing power. Then we're talking about horizontal scaling, which is also known as scaling in or out, and that's adding or removing machines to a cloud system by linking them together. So when we're talking about, again, vertical scaling, we've got a server. We want to add or remove some RAM. So we want to upgrade it to 12 gigs of RAM, and then we want to downgrade it to 8 gigs of RAM. Next up, if we're trying to talk about horizontal scaling, which is scaling in and out, we want to add additional servers that have 8 gigs of RAM until we've got the right amount of servers that help us run our service correctly. So both vertical and horizontal scaling can help improve the performance and reliability of a cloud service, and this is by adjusting its resources according to the demand and workload. There are some advantages and some differences, really. So there are trade-offs between the two scaling methods. Vertical scaling is a lot easier and faster to implement, but it does have a bit of a limit on how much power can be added to a single server. So that depends on the cloud service that you're using. Vertical scaling also can require downtime. It can also be more expensive and less efficient because it does require buying and renting more powerful servers that might not fully be utilized. And horizontal scaling in that sense is a lot more cost effective because it allows paying for only the resources that are needed and used. So vertical scaling is more suitable for applications that have a high CPU or memory requirement, such as databases or analytics. And then horizontal scaling is more suitable for applications that have a really high demand on user or traffic requirements, such as web servers or streaming services. Now let's talk about automated scaling, or this type of scalability or elasticity that can be automated. So it's really just a term that refers to a process of adjusting the resources of a cloud service automatically based on predefined rules and policies. So this type of scaling can improve the performance, reliability, and cost efficiency of cloud applications by dynamically allocating and releasing resources. So we're just, looking at the demand, looking at the workload, and scaling as needed. Right? So automated scaling is also known as auto-scaling. It could, a bunch of different terminologies can be used across different cloud providers. There's also concepts such as reactive or proactive scaling. So reactive being that if something changes in the current load or utilization of the cloud service, then we're going to add additional CPU or whatever is required to balance that load. And then proactive scaling is something that anticipates the changes in potential future load by just looking at tendencies and looking at those metrics in order to make a decision based on that. Then there's also the concept of scheduled scaling. Like if we know that this server is going to get a ton of traffic because we're adding something new, a new video game's coming out or something like that, let's make sure that we already have the servers in place and scaled properly to ensure that the functionality works. So what that looks like, again, is we've got a server. It hits 80% and we automatically deploy a second server. When that hits 80%, we're going to automatically deploy a third server. And then when that hits 80%, let's deploy a fourth, onwards, and that just scales out until we no longer need it, until the service hits its maximum limit. So when we're talking about monitoring for that kind of auto scale functionality, Azure has that functionality and is part of the app service or virtual machine scale sets, and that's something you can definitely check out. But it's really ultimately just an important feature of cloud computing that enables cloud services to adapt to changing demand in rapid and automated ways without requiring human intervention. So by using this type of scaling, you can optimize your resource utilization and cost efficiency because you can downgrade as needed as well, and improve your availability and reliability in the long run. So let's kind of discuss some other concepts here. So if we walk through each of these individually, and I'll be clicking through a little bit too, let's talk about high availability. So the concept is that a cloud service is designed to always be accessible and operational. And that's regardless of any failures, outages, disasters that might occur. Cloud providers use a ton of different techniques, which we already touched on, talking about redundancy, backup, failover, load balancing, monitoring. So essentially high availability just really means that users can access their data and applications anytime, anywhere without interruption or downtime. Now, if we're talking about elasticity, Cloud service can automatically and seamlessly adjust their resources according to current demand and workload. So that's where we were talking about the auto-scaling sort of approach, right? If we're looking at elasticity, cloud providers use techniques such as auto-scaling, provisioning and deprovisioning, and that enables elasticity of their services. So elasticity really just means that users can optimize their resource utilization and the cost efficiency that's related to that dynamically. And that allows us to allocate and release resources as needed. Oops, I went too fast there. Scalability. So if we're talking about scalability, cloud services can handle increasing or decreasing demand for resources without compromising quality or functionality. Cloud providers use a lot of techniques such as virtual scaling and horizontal scaling. So we already touched on those and described how they work in the way that they are meant to function properly. So vertical scaling involves adding or removing power. Horizontal scaling involves adding or removing machines. So scalability ultimately just means that users can meet their performance and reliability requirements by scaling the resources up and down or in and out as needed. And then reliability, well, we touched on that a little bit talking about the 5 nines, right? So cloud services are designed to be consistent and dependable. So regardless of any errors, faults, or disruptions that can occur, and that ties to high availability, right? So availability, reliability, scalability, all that ties in together. Now, if we're talking about predictability, cloud services are designed to be transparent and controllable. So regardless of any changes or variations that may occur, cloud providers use techniques such as metering or billing reporting and auditing to ensure that predictability of their services. So, you're not going to get a surprise bill for something that you weren't aware of being used. The reporting's there. It's transparent. It's just ensuring that you're actually consuming what you're paying for. And so that helps us comply with various regulations and standards. And now when we're talking about security, well, security is necessary for cloud providers because cloud services are designed to be secure and protected. And that really is regardless of any threats or attacks that could occur. So cloud providers use techniques, like encryption, authentication, authorization. We have firewalls, antivirus, intrusion detection, physical securities as well. So we can ensure that users have safeguarded their data correctly and applications from unauthorized access or damage. So that's really a crucial aspect around cloud providers. And then we've got this concept of governance. So cloud services are designed to be governed and regulated regardless of any policies or rules that may apply. So cloud providers use techniques such as identity management, role-based access control, policy enforcement, compliance management. And we've also got concept of data sovereignty. And that's just to make sure that the governance of the services are effective and legal, right? So governance means that users can define and implement their organizational objectives and standards across the cloud environment. And then finally, we've got manageability. And so manageability is the concept of making a cloud service manageable. And they're all designed to be manageable and operable. But it's just like learning a programming language. Oftentimes the concepts are the same, it's the syntax that's different. So cloud providers do have their own methodologies of managing. Azure, for instance, you've got a bunch of different ways that you can manage Azure. So if we're talking about the different tasks and operations that might be required, cloud providers use techniques such as automation, orchestration, configuration management, service management. You can talk about support management to ensure manageability of their services, but ultimately it just means that users can simplify and streamline their cloud administration and maintenance activities. All right, so now let's talk about the different cloud service types and share some of the use cases and benefits that align to each of the service types. So after completing this learning objective, you should be able to describe infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, platform as a service, or PaaS, and software as a service, which is SaaS. And you should be able to identify appropriate use cases for each of these cloud services. So IaaS is essentially the most basic cloud computing service category. So you build that on a pay-as-you-go kind of infrastructure model by renting servers, virtual machines, storage, networks. and operating systems from a cloud provider. It also provides instant computing infrastructure and provisions. So essentially it stands for what it says here on the screen, which is infrastructure as a service, which is a type of cloud computing service that offers essential compute, storage, and networking resources on demand and on a pay-as-you-go basis. So it's one of the three different types that we're calling out here. We've got the SaaS and PaaS and IaaS. IaaS has many benefits for businesses, such as reducing CapEx and optimizing costs by eliminating the need for configuring and managing that physical data center. It also increases scalability and flexibility by allowing businesses to easily scale their resources up and down, and that's on demand essentially. Improving reliability and availability by ensuring that the infrastructure is always operational and accessible to users, and enhancing security and protection by safeguarding the data and those applications from unauthorized access or damage. So this helps enable innovation and agility by allowing businesses to quickly deploy new applications and services. Now let's talk about platform as a service. So this essentially provides us an environment for building and testing and deploying software applications. It helps create applications quickly without focusing on the management of those underlying infrastructures. So PaaS, or Platform as a Service, is a type of cloud computing service that provides this complete, flexible, and cost-effective cloud platform, which helps us develop and run and manage these applications as we need them. So PaaS allows us to avoid the expense and complexity of buying and managing software licenses and the underlying application infrastructure and the middleware, or the development tools and other resources. So you manage the applications and the services that you develop, and the cloud service takes care of everything else. So some of the benefits of PaaS are that it can reduce the time and cost of developing and deploying applications by providing pre-built software components and the tools that you need without having to code them yourself. It can also increase the scalability and flexibility of your applications by allowing you to easily scale up and down your resources according to demand. And it can improve the reliability and availability of your applications by ensuring that the platform is always operational and accessible to users. It can enhance the security and protection of your applications by safeguarding them from unauthorized access or damage. And it can enable innovation, obviously, by providing that agility that lets you quickly deploy those applications and services. Some examples of PaaS, is Microsoft Azure, for instance. It offers a bunch of different features and services that support full web application lifecycle, such as operating systems, middleware, databases, development tools, business intelligence. I could go on and name a ton, but PaaS is a great platform for building and developing your applications. Now let's move on and talk about software as a service. So a common usage scenario for a software as a service or SaaS is Microsoft Office 365 or Teams or Dynamics CRM Online, things like that. SaaS, or software as a service, is a type of cloud computing service that provides users with access to software applications over the internet. So users don't need to install, update, or maintain the software on their own devices. The cloud provider takes care of that. So you only pay for the software that you're actually using as well. So usually on a subscription or a pay-per-use basis, SaaS is one of the three types of cloud services, right? So it fits alongside infrastructure as a service or platform as a service. Some of the benefits of SaaS are that it can reduce time and cost of developing and deploying software applications because it provides you with that ready-made software component and tools that you can use without any coding. It can also increase the scalability and the flexibility of those software applications by allowing users to easily scale up or down the resources according to demand. It can provide reliability and availability of the application just by essentially ensuring that the software is operational and accessible to everyone, everywhere, all the time. And it can enhance the security and protection of the software applications by safeguarding them from unauthorized access or damage. It can also enable and innovate and provide agility by allowing users to quickly deploy new software applications and services. So, Microsoft Office 365, Microsoft 365 is a SaaS solution. And so they offer, it offers various features and services that support different business functions. But essentially, office productivity, collaboration, customer service management, e-commerce, those are common scenarios where we'll see a SaaS application come into play. So let's just review what they look like side by side. Essentially, this slide just gives you a side-by-side comparison of IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So a really bulletproof a bullet point view of what the three different solutions look like. So let's talk about the shared responsibility model. The shared responsibility model is a framework that defines the roles and responsibilities of both Microsoft and the customer in securing and managing the cloud environment. Microsoft is responsible for the security of the cloud, which includes the physical infrastructure, hardware, software, network components that power the cloud services, and Microsoft also provides various tools and features to help customers secure their data and applications in the cloud as well. So things like encryption, identity management, compliance management, threat protection. But ultimately, the customer is responsible for security in the cloud, which includes the data and the applications that they store and run in the cloud. So that also includes the configuration and management of their cloud resources. So the customer also needs to follow the best practices and policies that are used to protect the cloud environment from unauthorized access and damage. So the level of responsibility varies depending on the type of cloud service that the customer uses. Things such as a software as a service or platform as a service or even an infrastructure as a service might have different responsibility guidelines, and you can kind of see that here on the diagram that's on the screen. So for SaaS, such as Microsoft 365, Microsoft is responsible for most of the security aspects, such as the application, the network, the operating system, and the physical infrastructure. The customer is only responsible for their data and the identities, as well as controlling access to the cloud service. For platform as a service, something such as an Azure App Service, Microsoft is responsible for the security of the network, the operating system, and the physical infrastructure, whereas the customer would be responsible for their data applications, as well as controlling access to the cloud service and configuring their platform settings. And when we're talking about IaaS, something such as an Azure Virtual Machine, Microsoft is responsible for the security of the physical infrastructure, and that's pretty much it. The customer is responsible for their data, the applications, controlling access to the cloud service, configuring their network, the operating system, as well as the virtual machine. So you can see how the different segmentation across the different areas can lead to different responsibility models. So just by reducing complexity and moving towards a SaaS model, we're already reducing where we as a customer would be responsible for particular parts of the service. So you can see how it can optimize and improve performance. So remember, you'll always be responsible for the information and data stored in the cloud, devices that are allowed to connect to your cloud, so cell phones, computers, so on, the accounts and identities of the people and services, and also those devices in your organization. So the cloud provider is always pretty much just responsible for the physical data center, the physical network, the physical hosts, and your service model is ultimately going to determine responsibility for things like operating systems, network controls, applications, and infrastructure. So this concludes session 1. So let's take a quick recap on what you've seen so far. So we defined cloud computing. We also described the shared responsibility model. We looked at different cloud models, including the concept of public, private, and hybrid clouds. And we also identified appropriate use cases for each of these cloud models. We took some time to describe the consumption-based model, and we compared cloud pricing models. So now we're going to take a quick 10-minute break before moving on to session 2, and so I'll see you shortly. All right, everybody. Well, welcome back from break. Session 2 is going to be an interesting one because we've split this into 2 different segments. The first segment, we're going to be covering exploring Microsoft 365 productivity solutions and the collaboration solutions in Microsoft 365. So let's get started. All right, well, let's get started with the session describing Microsoft 365 apps and services. So this is part 1 of 2. In this session, what we really want to focus on is Microsoft 365, productivity solutions and collaboration solutions in Microsoft 365. So we're going to talk about what is Microsoft 365. We're going to describe the productivity solutions in particular and focus on those collaboration solutions as well. So get a kind of a preview into a bunch of the different tools that are available here. From a learning objective standpoint, what we're looking to learn about in this module or in this session is Microsoft 365. So what is that productivity? What is it essentially? It is a productivity cloud designed to help each of us achieve what matters in work and in our life with best-in-class Office apps, intelligent cloud services, and advanced security. So after completing this objective, you should be able to effectively describe Office 365 and Microsoft 365, describe how M365 empowers workers for hybrid and flexible work, and also describe how Microsoft 365 Copilot can unlock productivity and creativity. And you'll also be able to create your own Microsoft 365 trial organization to get started and get some hands-on experience with it. What is Microsoft 365? Well, it's a cloud-powered productivity platform. It's also a SaaS application, which we had touched on in the previous session. It brings together the best-in-class productivity apps from Office 365 with advanced device management, intelligent security, and innovative online services. Microsoft 365 can help you and your organization, and pretty much any organization of any size. The tools in Microsoft 365 help drive productivity, collaboration, and allows you to communicate securely across many devices. So whether you're at home, in the office, out in the field, or on the go, Microsoft 365 includes everyone in digital transformation while ensuring a trusted and secure modern experience for everybody. Microsoft Graph. Microsoft Graph is the gateway to rich people-centered data and intelligent in Microsoft 365. So think of it as collecting all the telemetry, all the signals that are across your Microsoft 365 instance, and utilizing that to influence and help your users become more productive. So Microsoft 365 learns from its users. It's collecting these insights, this telemetry, and through Microsoft Graph, and by analyzing that data and its activities across users, across the different Microsoft products and its different services, it's able to deliver enhanced experiences that are, constantly getting better over time. So it keeps users protected as well. So the Microsoft Graph plays a vital role in Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is, as everybody knows, an AI, artificial intelligence powered productivity tool coming to Microsoft 365. So Microsoft 365 Copilot is powered by an LLM, or a large language model, and utilizes data from the Microsoft Graph and integrates into Microsoft 365 apps and services. So these components are crucial to empower Copilot to provide real-time intelligent assistance and recommendations to the users, and it helps enhance their creativity, productivity, and their skills. So you're building off of the telemetry that exists within your Microsoft 365 instance. As users are utilizing the tool, Copilot is getting more intelligent. Microsoft Graph is analyzing this telemetry and building upon it to make Copilot more effective and help your users be more creative, productive, and improve their skills. What is the difference between Office 365 and Microsoft 365? One of the primary differences is that Microsoft 365 is a cloud-based service that brings together productivity apps and advanced device management, as well as intelligent security, innovative online services, and just an overall centralized experience for your users. Office 365, however, includes apps such as Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, along with services like Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft 365 is kind of combining that enterprise mobility EMS suite with the functionalities of Office 365 as well. When, where, and how we work is fundamentally transforming and fundamentally transformed after the pandemic. Employees want more flexibility in their choice of workplace, and organizations are shifting towards hybrid and flexible work. So to thrive in this new world of hybrid work, people and organizations need solutions that are fluid, that are dynamic and cloud-powered, and Microsoft 365 has these solutions. So this concept of hybrid work is really just a combination of traditional in-person office work and remote offsite work. This mixed work location allows employees to enjoy greater flexibility in their lives, and flexible work is a hybrid work model that allows you to combine that remote and in-person days, however works best for you, essentially. So if a person wants to go into the office for X number of days, they can book a sit-down space and go and work in the office and meet up with their colleagues. Otherwise, they can work from home by default. So this model really gives the employees the most freedom, as they can set their own schedules with a combination of the two. So the concept of hybrid and flexible work really affects everybody. And so organizations are looking to incorporate tools that empower their entire workforce, from information workers to frontline workers, and to help them adjust these day-to-day realities of hybrid and flexible work. So just like information workers, frontline workers need to be able to connect and collaborate across the entire organization. And frontline workers are employees whose primary function is to work directly with the customers or the general public providing services. So typically, support, selling products, employees directly involved in the manufacturing and distribution of products or services. So a few examples of frontline workers are, retail workers, rescue workers, healthcare workers. So the idea of empowering frontline workers with the right technology not only makes their jobs easier, but it enables secure communication between customers, each other, and corporate. So better visibility, better flexibility. Microsoft wants you and your organization to thrive in this era of hybrid and flexible work. And so Microsoft 365 is the cloud-first platform for all the ways that people work today, wherever, whenever, however. Microsoft gives all workers the digital tools they need to connect, collaborate, and be more productive. So the idea of Microsoft 365 is giving you the capabilities to pretty much empower an organization to meet the diverse needs of all your workers. That gives you the flexibility to work on-site or remotely. And that's the objective behind this, is really just empowering workers to work in the best way that they can. Now let's dig into Microsoft 365 Copilot a little bit. So Microsoft 365 Copilot combines the power of LLMs, these are large language models, with your organization's data. And we kind of talked about that a bit earlier when we were talking about Microsoft Graph. So all in the flow of work, essentially. So to turn your words into one of the most powerful productivity tools on the planet, it essentially works alongside Microsoft 365 apps like Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and Copilot just provides real-time intelligent assistance, enabling users to enhance their creativity, productivity, and skills. So, unleash your creativity, harness Copilot's use. It's definitely something interesting. So let's move on to describing how productivity solutions through Microsoft 365 help optimize operations, enhance content creation, and empower people to perform tasks in real time. Essentially, after completing this learning objective, you should be able to describe how the capabilities of Microsoft 365 can boost productivity, describe how Microsoft 365 apps help people craft compelling content in real time, and also describe how the capabilities of work management tools optimize operations. You should be able to describe additional Microsoft 365 productivity apps as well that might not appear just in the generic list. Microsoft 365 brings together the best productivity solutions for you to stay connected, produce your best work, and optimize performance. And this doesn't matter where you are, right? You have access to it wherever you are. Whether you're using a laptop or your mobile device, you can easily create impressive content, access important files, and stay up to date, organized, and collaborate with anyone from anywhere. So create your content in real time, stay up to date through business class email and calendaring. It combines all these functionalities, a lot of which is also available in Office 365, except now we're expanding into creativity enablement, with Microsoft 365 Copilot. We're expanding into Microsoft Project, Planner, Bookings, To-Do, Forms, Lists, Power Apps, Power Automate. We're getting into a larger scope of what's possible through this cloud service. Now, Microsoft 365 apps are available in both Microsoft 365 apps for business and for enterprise subscriptions. The Microsoft 365 apps has the benefit of the cloud, giving you the flexibility to work anytime, anywhere, on any device. You can work across multiple devices, so you get the fully managed, fully installed Office apps on multiple PCs. This can be on Mac, tablet, mobile devices, Windows, iOS, Android. You can view and edit your files at home, Office on the go, all secure. You can work with apps that are always up to date, so you don't have to worry about spending time installing updates or worrying about whether the features will be released because it's all done for you. So hand it off to Microsoft 365 apps and it takes care of its updates by itself. You can get updates as often as monthly if you want. So you'll always be working with the most current features. You can work intelligently through connected experiences. So some of the connected experiences and intelligent features that you can see are getting work done faster, creating amazing content. So these connected experiences analyze your content to provide you with recommendations to improve your work. So, using PowerPoint to get design recommendations through PowerPoint Designer, editing and proofing suggestions through Editor in Word. And this is a super powerful tool. I use it all the time. Researcher in Word as well is really great from a bibliographical perspective. Now, to learn more about these connected experiences, there's also a link that we can throw up, Connected Experiences in Office, and work in an entirely new way, essentially. So now we're getting into the Copilot space. When we're talking about Microsoft 365 Copilot, it sits alongside you seamlessly, embedded into these applications that you're using daily, and it'll help you stay in the flow of work and frees you from focus on the task at hand. So, it can take over the busy work aspect, right? It really aims to spark creativity, boost that productivity, and foster new skills. So providing relevant recommendations in applications like Word, Outlook, PowerPoint. And since this AI generated content may be incorrect, remember to always check your facts, review, modify, and iterate. So Copilot is not autopilot. You have to double check what it's outputting, but it will save you time. The following list really just talks about applications and features that may be included in Microsoft 365 apps, and that all depends on your subscription. So Microsoft Teams can help you bring everyone together into one place to meet. You can meet, chat, call, collaborate, and then Copilot in Teams adds to the effective meeting performance by making it more productive with real-time summaries, action items directly in the context of the conversation. Now, this is a fantastic functionality. If you ever get off of a meeting and you're like, oh, I forgot to take notes. Well, if Copilot was enabled, it would have taken those notes for you. So really fantastic functionality. Word can help you create impressive documents and improve your writing with built-in intelligent features like Microsoft Editor and Researcher. And then Copilot in Word writes, edits, and summarizes and creates content right alongside you as you work. So thinking of a way to rephrase that paragraph so that it actually flows better, just ask Copilot to do it for you and it'll give you a few suggestions. Excel can help you simplify complex data, create an easy-to-read spreadsheet and visualizations, and then Copilot in Excel helps you unlock insights and identify trends to create professional-looking data visualizations. So, you don't have to worry about those spreadsheets that you're trying to make that nice chart. You can just get Copilot to do it for you. Now, PowerPoint can help you create a polished presentation that stands out with intelligent features. Presenter Coach, definitely something to recommend. PowerPoint Designer, great tool. Give you ideas of how to change the slide to make it look nicer. And then Copilot in PowerPoint helps you turn your ideas. So just type out what you want it to generate and it'll generate some presentation material for you, all using those natural language commands. So really fantastic functionality there. And then Outlook. Outlook can help you manage your email. It can help you manage your calendar, your tasks, and all these contacts all in one place. And then Copilot in Outlook can help you draft your emails, summarize long threads, catch up on important conversations. It is a great tool. I use it every day now. Definitely something fantastic when you're trying to get to the bottom of that 20-thread email, just to figure out if there's any action items for you. So OneNote as well can help you with your note-taking. This can help you organize your notes into tabs, subsections, create a single digital notebook, and then Copilot in OneNote supercharges your note-taking and helps you understand, create, and recall information at the click of a button. So think about, OneNote search, but on steroids. OneDrive can help you save, access, edit, and share files and photos wherever you are. Access, which is only available on PC, can help you create your own database apps easily without being a developer. Publisher can help you create polished, professional-looking content from greeting cards, labels, and newsletters and marketing material. And there's a world of possibility with all these different apps that you're in your tool belt. All right, so let's jump into a demo here where we're going to look at the end user experience of Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So this will give you a hands-on sort of visual of what the end user can expect from Microsoft 365 Business Premium. All right, so in this demo, we will be exploring various features of your Microsoft 365 tenant. So you'll view the Microsoft 365 Admin Center as well as the Microsoft Entra Admin Center and the Teams Admin Center. So let's get started by kicking it off into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So we'll open up our browser and go to Microsoft, go to admin.microsoft.com. Now when we get here, it'll prompt us to log in. So in this case, I've already logged in with my admin in the past, so it remembers my username. However, in this case, you'd want to, if you were logging in, you'd want to specify a different account and then the password as required. Great. So now I'm logged in. So I'm logged into my Business Premium tenant. I can see a list of users. I can see some different information around the different configurations in my organization. But what I'm going to want to do is start by just doing some very common tasks, which is user management. So by clicking on the hamburger icon up here on the top left or the navigation menu, I can go down and I can see additional options. There's also an option here to say show all, where we can see additional admin centers that are available as well as different options through the admin center here. What I want to click on is users because I want to go and manage some users. So I'll click on the user icon here and let's look at the active users. So this is how I can see all the users and their licenses that have been applied that are available in my tenant. So now if I wanted to, I can select a user and I can see additional information about this user. So in this case, I'm looking at Alan DeYoung. I can see his username and email addresses, aliases. I can see additional information about the user, what licenses they have by clicking through, if they're assigned any devices, information about their mail account and their OneDrive account. And so when I'm done doing whatever manipulation I had to do with this user, I can, reset their password, block it, delete the user. I can just X out of the window by clicking the X icon at the top right. Now, if I want to look at Teams groups, I can do the same thing by going back to my home menu. And here I can see Teams, or as always, there's multiple ways to arrive at the same destination. I can click the hamburger icon and look at the Teams group here and click on Active Teams and Groups. Now, when I'm under Active Teams and Groups, I can look for more options by selecting an individual team. So if I select, say, All Company, for example, I can see general information about the group. I can see general information about the membership of the group, as well as additional settings around the group. Now, there's an interesting icon here that differentiates between the type of group. So I can see here that this group is a Microsoft 365 group. However, it doesn't have a Teams group associated with it. So if I want to click on to a different Teams group, there'll be additional information as part of the Teams group that I can find here. So we'll see general information, membership information, channels information about that specific team, what channels have been created. I can also, from an administrative standpoint, create channels here or change some of the settings that are available under my team at this point. So by Xing out of that window again from the X at the top right, I can also go to the left-hand menu here. And as I did earlier, I expanded the left-hand menu by clicking the Show All button down at the bottom. By default, it's showing me the pinned view. So these are just elements that have been pinned to my Admin Center left nav bar. If I click Show All, then I can see all of the resources that are available to utilize, as well as the different admin centers as I called out earlier. So let's click on Billing. And under Billing, we'll go to Licenses. And let's select one of these licenses. So by clicking on it, we can then dive into the license itself, see additional details about the license, as well as who has the license assigned to them, which users are currently active, and this is also click through. So we can click through and see additional information about the user, what licenses that they have enabled as part of their Microsoft 365 Business Premium license. So continuing the demo for exploring Microsoft 365 Tenant, let's go take a look at the Entra Admin Center. So again, going to the nav menu on the left-hand side, I can scroll down and find the identity icon here. I'll click on identity, and that'll take us to the Entra Admin Center. Just as a side note, these are accessible directly. You can just type in entra.microsoft.com, and it'll take us directly to the Entra Admin Center. Another way to manage our users inside Microsoft 365 Tenant is through the Entra Admin Center. So on the left nav bar here, we can click Users, select all users, and here we get a different view of all the different users that are available inside of our tenant. Again, we can click through to a specific user, see additional information, and like you can see here, it's a bit more of an administrative view. We've got a lot more options and a lot more control over what we're doing with this specific user, as well as sign-in logs and additional information that we can see here. That includes, assigned roles, administrative units, and groups and everything on an individual user basis. So right here, I can click the X button at the top right, and that'll close out from that view. Next, what we can do is explore the different groups that are available in our tenant. So I can click on the groups icon on the left-hand nav, go to all groups, and here I'll see a list of all the different groups that are available inside of my tenant. I can also see their membership type and an interesting variable, which is the group type. So a Microsoft 365 group, as we're going to discuss, is a different type of group than a security group, and is considered along the same lines as a distribution group. So we can see the different group types here, as well as their membership type, whether or not they are dynamic or they are assigned members. So in this case, we can select a group and dig into additional information about that specific group. And when we're done, assigning members here or navigating through the ownership aspects of the group, we can just click the X button at the top right and we'll close out of that window. Next up, we want to go to the Teams Admin Center. So in order to get back to the Teams Admin Center, we can go multiple ways. And from here, we'll go and click on Show All and then the Teams Admin Center view. And so that'll take us directly. We can also enter in the Teams Admin Center URL directly, which is admin.teams.microsoft.com. And that'll take us directly to the Teams Admin Center. So in the Teams Admin Center, the dashboard shows us cards for organizational information, deployment status. We're going to see recent user activity as well as recent activity, things that users have searched for, as well as helpful links and a lot more information here. So we can see Teams user information. So obviously with my demo tenant, there's not a lot of information that's been populated in here, but this gives you an example and an idea of what we'd be able to see. So let's go find one of our teams. We can use the left navigation menu. So using the left navigation menu to manage settings for teams, users, meetings, locations, and more, we can kind of scroll through that. So if I want to manage a team, I can click on manage a team here and then see specific information about my team, dive in and do some manipulations to that team if necessary. I can also look at configuration settings under the users in particular. So if I click on users on the left side nav here and go to manage users, I can also see my users that have been enabled for Teams. I can also control guest access to Teams and change some of the settings here. And I can also manage the external access dependent on who I want to let communicate with my users inside of my Teams organization. So I can change all these settings as necessary, as well as the guest access settings, which will allow me to invite users or guest users to the tenancy. So ultimately in this demo, what we've covered is the different features and ways to manage your Microsoft 365 tenant by just exploring the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, as well as the Entra Admin Center and the Teams Admin Center. Let's talk about some other work management tools that are available in Microsoft 365. There's Microsoft Project, which allows you to quickly kick off a project, assign tasks, schedules. This helps you keep team members and managers on the same page. You can automatically update the timeline through scheduling engine, which helps you reduce your time and effort. Utilize easy to use views such as grid views, Kanban style task boards, and timeline Gantt charts. This allows you to also integrate with Microsoft Teams to collaborate across the project and create stunning interactive dashboards in Power BI so that you can visualize every aspect of the project at a glance. This is also extensible with other platform apps and data because Project is built on Power Platform. Microsoft Planner, this can add structure to task-based teamwork and organize activities in your project by creating a plan. You can assign management tasks on a Kanban style board using task cards and add those tasks to buckets. Now, the task cards populate with various information such as due dates, status, priority, checklists. You can apply labels and even add attachments. Now, one of the other advantages is receiving notifications to stay on top of these deadlines. So you can monitor your team's progress with colorful visual cues as well as built-in status reporting. Utilize these visuals such as the task board, charts page, schedule view, summarize the status of the entire plan or dig down into individual tasks. And this integrates really nicely into Teams by adding tasks by planner tab and using the @ mentions in Word, Excel, PowerPoint to assign tasks and add to your task to calendar in Outlook or Microsoft To Do. There's also Microsoft Booking. This allows you to manage staff schedules, set business hours, services, pricing, things like that. You can define appointment types to really dig into it and details. And this allows you to customize how appointments are scheduled through a web-based business-facing page. You can also add buffer time between appointments for any time of, any pre or post-work appointment activities that you might have to get done. You can create a booking page where your customers and clients can schedule and reschedule appointments on their own, and share that booking page via a direct link with your Facebook page or a link embedding it within your own website. So let's say you're a consultant and you just want to open up your schedule to customers so that they can book you for a specific meeting. Great advantage there. So ensure your customers are receiving proper confirmation or requirements with automatic appointment notifications through email and SMS, and utilizing the business-facing mobile app to view your appointments and access customer lists. So you can make manual bookings on the go as well. So using this contact information and that mobile app gives you the flexibility to update your appointments on the go. Now you can also integrate that with Microsoft Teams, and that supports virtual appointments through the bookings calendar and management through the bookings app in Microsoft Teams. To Do, one of my personal favorites. Focus and achieve the most important tasks with a daily to-do list called My Day. That can use smart suggestions and add tasks, upcoming or overdue tasks. You can share lists and assign tasks with colleagues, friends, family. I use it for family reasons. I use it for personal reasons as well as work. You definitely want to break down those complex tasks into subtasks so you can have a list of tasks under a major task, and that helps you plan out how you're going to be, performing that task during a day. Definitely schedule reminders and repeatable tasks within Outlook, and then it syncs across Outlook, Teams, Planner, and you can generate tasks from flagged Outlook emails. So think about the old to-do list that you had in Outlook on steroids, and that's Microsoft To Do. Now, Microsoft Forms. Insert quizzes, surveys, polls, and other types of forms into other Office products. So you're looking for some feedback on, say, a session that you just recorded, you can actually have that form integrated into the Teams meeting and then send that out to the invitees so that they can provide you some feedback. You're able to enhance that form with a logo. You can display pictures or videos next to the questions. You can share that form or collaborate with other users and share it as a template. You can also invite others to respond to your form by using any web browser or mobile device. So checking out these real-time results as they're submitted, you can use that to build analytics and evaluate responses. And then you can export all those things to Excel to do better analysis or grading. There's also Microsoft Lists. Now, Lists is really interesting because you can create a list from scratch or use ready-made templates, and some of the templates are really powerful. So I definitely recommend checking those out. You can create a list in a SharePoint site or directly in Microsoft Teams. You can also create it with various columns, including links, pictures, attached files. You can sort, group, format, filter lists to highlight the most important information. And then you can automate a list to streamline work and save time, essentially. So you can track the history of the list over time with the different versions as well. Now let's take a look at some of the other products that are available in Microsoft 365. So there's Clipchamp, which is a video editing service. There's Delve, Dynamics 365, Dynamics 365 Customer Voice. There's Microsoft Loop, which is really awesome for collaboration. You can just drop in a loop element directly into a Teams meeting or into an email, and that email, the content in the loop just stays up to date with all changes that are done across all parties in the same email that you sent it. So it's modifiable directly in there or in that Teams message. There's also Power BI, Sway to make really nice looking presentations, Power BI to make those awesome analytical dashboards, and then Whiteboard if you're presenting and just need to draw out ideas, digital whiteboard. So let's describe collaboration solutions within Microsoft 365. So in this segment, we're going to learn about the different collaboration solutions and unlock new ways of working by helping people and teams stay connected, engaged, and ensure fluid communication across the organizations. So after completing this learning objective, you should be able to describe how collaboration tools of Microsoft 365 promote synergy, how Microsoft Teams helps boost teamwork, and how Microsoft Viva helps organize creative, thriving work cultures within organizations, and describe how Yammer communities can help foster connections within your organization. Now, I said Yammer communities, that should technically be Viva Engage. So Viva Engage communities and how they help foster connections within your organization. So let's dig into this in a bit more detail. Microsoft 365 brings together the best collaboration solutions for you to work together with others to get things done. So best collaboration solutions for you to work together with others to get things done. Whether you're using a laptop or your mobile device, you can attend meetings online, you can reply to a chat, you can share files or information, co-author in real time, thinking Microsoft Loop, which I was just talking about, or directly within Word or Teams or Excel. It lets you network and you can collaborate with anyone from anywhere. So let's talk about Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is an app for people and teams to come together, stay connected, and pretty much just get things done. So that can be across work, home, school, or on the go. Teams really helps you pull together a team and connect with colleagues through real-time messaging and engaging inclusive meetings. So you can set up Teams channels, it's secure and compliant. You can also link it to your telephone system and actually make calls outbound directly from Microsoft Teams. There's that whole chat and instant messaging aspect alongside Copilot, and you can get that integration approach with all the different collaborative apps that are available in Microsoft 365. So let's step into a demo now where we're going to talk about Teams collaboration and walk through what that looks like in Microsoft Teams. Okay, so in this demo, we will see how with Microsoft Teams, that is this hub for team collaboration in Microsoft 365, we'll see how Teams integrates people and content, as well as tools to help teams be more engaged and effective. So let's walk through Teams capabilities, like how to create a team, how to create a channel, how to add members, start a conversation, add a file, add a tab to a channel, and things like that. So let's take a look. So first off, we'll open up a browser and we will go to enter teams.microsoft.com into our browser window and then log in with our user. So keep in mind, Teams is a hub for teamwork. It's an app for people and teams to come together and stay connected and communicate and share in project functionalities and work together to get things done across regions, essentially. So it doesn't matter if you're working from home, from school, if you're on the go. It's a tool to help you be effective. So let's look at the different options that are available within the Teams window. So we've got an activity view, we've got chat, Teams, calendar, calls, files, admin. The reason I'm seeing the admin window here is because Megan Bowen is a Teams administrator or a global admin, so is able to view that functionality. But typically a user would only see files, some of the other selections here. And this is customizable. We can add and remove apps as we see fit, as we'd like, depending on your organizational policies. We can also pin applications that have already been approved within the organization in order to access them at a later date or to use them immediately. So for now, let's click on Teams and let's see the list of teams that are available here. So Teams is essentially, the idea of a team is that it's a workspace where a group of people can collaborate and essentially just work on a specific project or a very specific region. It could be, ultimately the team itself is named after the project, and then individual channels are for different departments that are working on the project. It could also be a team of people who like to work together on specific things. So in this case, we want to explore how we can create a team. So let's go and create a new team. So I click on the join or create a team. That opens up the join or create a team dialog here. I can create a team, and I have several options that I can choose from a template perspective. I could also join a team that I'm not currently a member of. So in this case, I see the Contoso team is a public team, but I'm not currently a member of it. So I could say join team, and it'll instantly add the team to the left-hand nav where I can then go and start collaborating with the folks that are in the Contoso team. Now, let's say I want to go and create my own team for a project or for something that I'm working on. We have several options. We could say, this team is specific for managing an event, managing a project, organizing a help desk. There's a bunch of different templates that apply a different formulation of the team and also include specific applications and options that are tied to that specific template. In this case, I just want to create a new team from scratch. Now I have to decide whether or not I want to allow people to join the team openly. Like, is this an organizational-wide team that everybody automatically joins from the organization? Or is this a public team that people can choose whether or not they want to join, like the team that I just joined called Contoso? Or is this a private team that I want people to have permission to join? So ultimately, it's really just deciding whether or not I want to create, what type of team I want to create for the project or for the objective that I'm trying to hit here. So in this case, let's go with a public team, because I do want anybody to be able to join, but I don't necessarily want to have to manage the membership. So people can join and leave as they see fit. So let's fill out some information about our team. This team, we'll call it marketing. So we're starting a new marketing team and we need to create a team for people to collaborate in. So we're going to start our marketing team and we can add a description if we want to. This isn't anything that's required, but we could add some additional information like this is for the marketing team. Next we'll click create. Now some interesting things happen in the back end here. So instantly I can see on the left-hand nav here that my team did get created. I can also see this prompt that comes up and starts asking me to add members. I can completely skip this option, or I could start adding specific people to the team. For now, what I'm going to do is add, let's see, who can I add? Let's go and add Emily to the team. So now Emily on her side is going to receive an invite, and she's also going to see the prompt popped up, automatically adding her to that team. And now I can start a conversation with Emily, who is part of the team. The latest poster. There. And so we can see that Megan just talked to Emily and asked her if she had seen the latest poster. And we can start having that collaboration motion happening right now. So when we create a team, something interesting happens on the back end. It'll create a Microsoft 365 group for us. It creates a SharePoint site, and it also creates a mailbox that allows us to share information across the mailbox, so we can actually send email messages directly to this team as well. So as we're creating this team and as we're manipulating and adding information to this team, there's a bunch of other things that we can do to make this team more enjoyable for folks. We could also, by clicking on the ellipsis here, we can say manage channel, or we could say manage team. And by looking at the general channel, which is by default included in any new team that gets created, we can look at some analytics about things that are going on, what type of apps and things like that. So we do get some visibility as a creator and owner of a team. If we want to manage the team all up, we have to go to the left-hand nav here where we see marketing. And here I can click on the manage team icon. And this is where I can see, who is a member of the team, who is the owner of the team. And so owners have different rights dependent on the configuration of the team. Now, there's different options that are available in this sense where if I'm the owner of a team, I can, create channels, I can create a different amount of content dependent on what I want to do with this team. So I can actually decide that, right? So in my settings here from a team standpoint, I can go and add a team picture if I'd like to. So I can add something that makes sense for that team. If we have a team logo, kind of like what you see up here in the X1050 launch team. There's a little logo there that gives us a nicer view and makes it more friendly for our users. We can also change our member permission. So as I was saying, the owner has the rights to change all these aspects. If I were to log in with Emily, she wouldn't see the same options here when she clicks on manage the team. She might see a bit of analytics and maybe some tags, and that's about it. When I want to allow members to create and update channels, if I wanted them to be able to create private channels, how much control do I want to allow my members to have on this team? So I can pick and choose and say, well, in this case, marketing members cannot create new channels because I want to maintain control over which channels exist. So let's go ahead and create a new channel. So I removed the right for users to create channels. Now what I'd like to do is make an additional channel that is going to be a private channel for me and Emily to discuss, Megan and Emily to discuss internal aspects of the marketing department. So we'll say, I don't know, management or something like that from a marketing standpoint. So in this case, I really want to make sure that it's only specific teammates that have access to that. And anybody else who joins the marketing team will see the general chat, which will let them see, news and things like that that are coming out. So in this case, I want to make sure that Emily has access to the private channel. And now if I start searching for other users, because there's only two members of this team, there's only Megan and there's only Emily, I'm not going to be able to just add anybody. The user first has to be a member of the team before we can add them to a channel within that team. So adding Emily here, and we're good. Then afterwards, what we can do is lock down different channels. So if we have a private channel, now by default, anybody who joins the general team will not be able to see any private channels that they do not explicitly have access to. And that's managed by who has access to manage the channel. So when we go into the management aspect of that specific channel, we can see the members, who is the owner, and owners will have the user rights to invite people to the team. And so members can also create and remove tabs, create and move different aspects, but the owner retains the right to add members to that specific channel. So now when we're doing this conversation, we can actually start collaborating together. So let's go and log in with a separate user. Digging into this aspect, what I want to show is what it looks like for a different user who wasn't explicitly added to the new team. So let's log in as Adele. We'll go ahead and connect as Adele to our team session. So Megan over here has communicated with Emily, who's a member of this team, asking if Emily had seen the new poster. Emily's also a part of the management channel and so has visibility into that, as well as Megan herself. So now if we move into Adele's team session, we can see that she does not see the team that was created earlier. However, we can go ahead and join that team. So let's look for our team. Oh, there it is, marketing. So that was just recently created. We can say join team. So now Adele has visibility into the marketing team. She can see posts that were made in the general channel with Emily. However, she does not see the private channel that was created by Emily to handle management aspects of the marketing department. So there are ways to allow your users to have access and visibility to the different aspects of a team's team, but prevent specific access to certain segments. So we can limit the scope of what users will be able to see, even when the team is a public team. Now, if it's a private team, that requires an explicit invitation or an explicit access request that provides the user with access to that specific private team. So another option that we can do now, so let's go look at Emily's private channel. So Emily wants to add additional management aspects to her channel. So let's say she wants to add a whiteboard for collaboration. So we can automatically add by clicking the plus button here, and that gives us a selection of different applications that we can add to the channel. In this case, we selected whiteboard, so she wants to add a whiteboard. We can announce it in the channel saying that we've recently added this new functionality to the channel, and we'll click save there. So as you can see, it's generating our whiteboard, and now we are able to go and manipulate the whiteboard and collaborate with folks that are part of the Teams channel. If we look at the post here, we can see that it automatically fills out a post from Megan saying that she added a whiteboard topic to the top of the channel. So now we can see different applications, and there's multiples that we can choose from. We can choose stream if you want to add a specific stream video, Power Apps, custom apps. There's a bunch of different apps that are available. It really just depends on your organizational compliance as to whether or not all these apps will be available to be added. So we'll just X out of there. And now let's go look at some other functionalities that are available as part of the team. So here we have our calendar. And our calendar is automatically synchronized with Outlook as well. So it's the same calendar. It's built off of our mailbox, which essentially Teams is part of your Exchange Online mailbox as well. And so when we add an event here, we add a new meeting here, it'll actually get synced to our Outlook calendar as well. So let's go ahead and create a new meeting. So let's click Meet Now at the top if we wanted to just have a quick meeting right off the bat where I start a meeting with Megan, and then I can invite people and add them to the meeting immediately. So I can say Start Meeting. Let's just block that for now. And by saying Meet Now, we've kicked off a meeting with Megan as the only person in the meeting for the time being, but we can go and add additional people. So we'll say copy meeting link, and we can send that over email to people, and once they get the link, they can just click it and join. Or we can say add participants, and here I want to add Adele. So I'll request that Adele joins the meeting. And you can see on Adele's screen on the Teams meeting that Megan is currently calling her into the meeting. So we can say accept. And now both Megan and Adele are in the same meeting. So they can chat, they can talk, turn on their cameras, have a video conversation. And that's what we'd call an impromptu meeting, right? It's something that's really rapid that we kicked off really quickly. It wasn't scheduled. We just wanted to have a quick synchronization on a specific topic. So Adele's going to leave this meeting and Megan is going to leave it as well. Sure, call quality was excellent. Now let's say, okay, now Megan wants to schedule a meeting with Adele because for whatever reason, Adele didn't have enough time to talk and they need to expand on that a bit farther. So Megan's going to schedule a meeting tomorrow. So we'll just click on a time slot that was available in the calendar. As you can see, I just selected one. Right now it's split by 30-minute segments. So let's say Megan's going to try for 1:30 in the afternoon. Meeting about topics. Let's invite Adele. And let's see if she's available. So we've got some suggested times here for availability, and that's just based off of the scheduling assistant. So what we can do is actually click on the scheduling assistant and see if our times kind of line up. And would you look at that? 1:30 is available for each person. So there's no conflict there. However, if we were to select a time that was conflicting, then we could still send the invite. It's just that chances are the person might refuse the meeting. So let's click OK and we'll send the invite. So that'll add the meeting about topics to Megan's calendar. And now if we go and check out Adele's calendar, we'll see that she will have received the meeting invite, except right now it's not responded to. So Adele would have to go into her Outlook and accept the meeting, or directly from the Teams calendar here, she can right click on the meeting and say accept. And so now the meeting's established with Adele and they'll be able to meet at that specific time. So now that we got a meeting scheduled between Megan and Adele, they need to discuss some topics that have been called up, and let's go and add that information together. So in the general chat, let's say there is a specific topic that needs to be discussed on. We will go ahead and create some files. So let's go into the files navigator here, and this is going to show us files that are related to the marketing department. Now, again, Adele is not a member of the private team, so she does not see the private team that's here, and she's going to create this directly into the marketing department. So we are going to create a new file. It's going to be a Word document, and let's call it digital marketing outline. So once we've created a new file in a Teams site, what it'll do is it'll actually open up the Word document directly within Teams. There's multiple options here that we have. We can click editing and say open in browser. That'll open up another browser session where the file is open as directly on the into the browser session, or we can say open the file with the application itself. And yeah, so open, we say edit in Teams, which is the default behavior. We can say open in a browser, or we can say open in the application, and the application will launch the Microsoft Word application in order to modify the document. So after we've opened the document, we can obviously edit it, save it, make changes to it as needed. So right now Adele's got the document open. If, say, Megan was aware of the document's creation and knew Adele was working on it, she could also go and collaborate on it by going to the team, going to the Files tab, and clicking on the document to start editing it as well. So in essence, it's collaborating on the same document space. So let's say let's say Megan adds, 1 second. So here is the content. And now looking at what Megan's written here. We can see where Adele's cursor is in relation to the content, in relation to where Megan is. I write tests there, and if I go back to Adele's side, I can see that Megan Bowen is currently at this portion of the text, and I can start adding additional information. And so that synchronizes back and forth automatically between the two users as they're collaborating together to create this document. Again, this is stored on SharePoint, so as you're modifying the document, it's automatically saved. So we don't have to click save every time, though we can save as. And when we say save as, we've got a bunch of different options here where we can save a copy locally, we can download it as a PDF, we could rename the file. There's a bunch of different things that we can do from an online perspective, but as you can see up here, the file is saved automatically, and it'll give you the latest timestamp that that file was saved. We also have options for sharing the documents and various other tooling as normal. We can also see who has the document open depending on who we're working from at the time. So if we click close here, that'll close the document and it's good to go. So adding additional information when we are manipulating a document at the same time together, it's a great way to collaborate. There's also a great tooling built into the document called comments. So let's say that this content, for some reason, Adele doesn't, has some comments about and needs to communicate and work with Megan on. We can say show comments, and we'll write a new comment here, and let's call out Megan, and we'll tell her that, is this text necessary? We can also select assign to Megan. And this is a great functionality because it'll actually add that task to Megan's to-do list so that Megan goes and remembers to check that comment from Adele. Now what Megan will receive is that comment will be shared with her, and we'll be able to go and review the comments as necessary. So I can see that it's assigned to me. I can reply to Adele, I can say yes, send that back to her, and I can close the task. And so the comment's been replied to, it's been checkboxed, and we still have the history of the actions that have been taken on it. So a very interesting utilization of collaboration methodologies within the Teams client itself. So we never expanded outside of into the Word document, but that is a possibility. You can open this document directly into Word. You'll get the exact same experience across Word browser or within the Teams client itself from a collaboration standpoint. And so in this demo, we showed you how Teams essentially integrates people, content, and tools to help teams be more engaged and effective. We also talked about how to create a team, how to create a channel, how to add members, start a conversation. We talked about adding new files, adding a tab to a channel, scheduling a meeting, viewing our calendar, kicking off a Meet Now, how comments work within Outlook. And so ultimately, you should have a better understanding of how Microsoft Teams can help teams collaborate better and in real time. All right, let's talk about Microsoft Viva. So what is Microsoft Viva in the first place? This concept of an employee experience, what does that even mean? Think of it as the business side of technology, right? So Microsoft Viva brings together all the tools that employees need to be successful in today's world, this world of work, as well as into one unified solution across 4 different experience areas. So the concepts that we're trying to address are connection. So we want to keep everybody informed, included, and inspired. Insight, we want to improve productivity and well-being with actionable insights. And purpose, we want to be able to align people's work to team and organizational goals, as well as growth, so that we can help employees learn, grow, and succeed. So let's take a look at what Microsoft Viva looks like, and we'll dig into that in this demo. All right, so in this demo, we're going to look at Microsoft Viva, which is the employee experience platform that empowers people and teams to essentially achieve more. So what you will walk through is the features of Microsoft Viva Insights, as well as Viva Learning, 2 of the 4 Viva modules. And we'll show how these applications can help employees create healthy and productive work habits. So let's start by exploring Microsoft Viva Insights. So let's hop into Teams for that. So we'll go back to our Teams session. And once we're here, what we'll do is go and click on the apps on the left-hand side. So we've got the app search bar here. There's a couple options because typically an organization might already have Insights added. So we should be able to see it directly in the ellipsis icon, and we should be able to find Viva Insights here. And there you can see it here. But we can also go to the apps area and add and just search for it. So we'll say Viva Insights. And that'll pull up the Insights option here. So now I can click open. And as you can see, it adds the application to the left-hand nav, and we can see some insights about this user. So Viva Insights is really a couple of interesting areas of this is how it ties to help you improve your work-life balance. And it can also offer some activities that you can help complete by sending praise to colleagues, tap into self-reflection, take breathing breaks, book focus time, things like that. So as you can see here, we're looking at the primary screen, which is just the home page for Viva Insights. I can go and decide to select some quiet time. So, if I want to improve my work-life balance, I can set quiet time that'll help me focus, configure my quiet time. So I'm not going to get alerts from work on specific days, so we can mute mobile notifications and things like that. We can look for productivity inline suggestions, set our lunch hour, plan no meeting days, things like that that'll help. So if we head back to the home page now, we can also start a daily focus plan. So, when we get bothered, when we get impromptu calls and things like that, it can break our focus. So ideally, it's setting a focus plan that'll help us schedule automatic focus time as part of our calendar. And it'll also look at our calendar and suggest times that, according to, previous meeting times and things like that, whether or not we want to book additional focus time specifically from, the time periods that are suggested there. We can also set reminders. If you're somebody like me who works from home, you can set reminders to have you disconnect a bit early, help you take some, breathing exercises to relax before getting back into your day-to-day routine in your personal life, because when we're working from home, sometimes it can be hard to draw that boundary between home and work. So this helps you set that up. Now, as we're digging through the different options here, there's also this concept of, sending praise to our teammates as well. And that's one of the first options up here at the top. So we can actually click send praise and look up somebody that we want to send our praise to. And so let's look for Adele. And so I'll just say, Adele, let's post it into the Teams channel. So we'll send it to marketing and the general, and we'll just say, great job on that prep doc. And we can change, our colors here, and let's share that out. So now I feel great, having announced my praise for Adele. She's going to get some great feedback, and it's shared on the marketing team's general area. And so everybody gets to see that, how great a job Adele's doing, and like the comment as well if they so choose. And so the idea behind that is really just to promote this inner collaboration of sharing and also taking care of our colleagues. So providing that feedback here. Now, as you can see, when I clicked out of the Viva Insights, it kind of disappeared back into the ellipsis area. So what we can actually do is go click back into it. And if you right click on the applications that are here along the left-hand nav, you can actually pin applications. So now it'll just stay there if we click out of it. So that's something just to be aware of for navigational purposes. So back into the Viva Insights piece. So looking through the different cards that are here, we talked about booking focus time, talked about sending praise. We can also look at our focus plan, which days we're currently using it, our communication habits, how much time are we spending in meetings, how much time are we spending doing, how much time is available to actually get our work done, how much time is spent in emails. There's also some great inspiration library materials here, which are articles that might come up that'll help you feel more inspired to do your work as we're looking through the different options. So that's all from the home screen. Now we can click through to the productivity area. And what's fun about this section here is that it gives us some recommendations about training that we could potentially do, how we can improve our meetings according to feedback from our colleagues. We can also see meeting habits as they have been developing throughout the course of our work. We can look at suggested tasks, so anything that we might have missed that is coming up that we might need to work on. And when we look at the teamwork segment here, well, we're looking at how we can build better relationships, grow our knowledge, and you look at some tips around that sort of aspect. So that pretty much covers a lot of the aspects around Viva Insights. So let's kick off and look at Viva Learning. So as I was already using the Insights app, I was able to click the hamburger icon up at the top and select one of the other Viva applications that come down from this menu. Also, other ways to get there by clicking the ellipsis and looking for Viva Learning here, or just going to the apps nav and searching for it. And again, when you leave out of an application that is no longer open, it will disappear, but it just goes down into the ellipsis area of apps that are already installed, and then you just have to go and grab it again. So there we go, Viva Learning. Let's pull that up. And so Viva Learning, from the homepage view, we can browse and discover, a library of 10,000 courses, 10,000 and more courses. And so it greets you with your progress on any course or training that you've already started, right? So if I've already started some stuff, it'll show me, things that I've already begun, where my in progress is, and we can kind of nav through that between bookmark courses that are interesting to me, recommended to me, or, in progress or completed learnings. So we've got the different nav elements up here. So this takes us to different areas of Viva, so Engage, Insights, Learning. This one just takes us back to the Learning homepage. We can click the My Learning page here as well. And this one talks to us about, the different things that are in progress or bookmarked. And we also have the admin view if we're an administrator for that Viva module, where we can start, linking together different providers and different solutions to help our users learn more. But let's focus on the My Learning aspect in the home. So if we go back home, we can see that there's a bunch of different interests that we can focus on. So what we could do is select something in particular. Megan picked marketing, and let's say she wants to add additional courses to her interests. So let's say she wants to also add digital transformation. Looks like there's nothing coming up on digital transformation. That's okay. I mean, it could be just something that is not currently available within the LMS, but it could also be something that is available in the LMS, in the learning management system. So in this case, we're linked to LinkedIn, and we can see one here called Marketing Tools Growth Marketing. So let's say Megan has already done this course. She can rate it. She can also mark it as complete. What she can also do is share it with her colleagues or her teammates. So let's say Megan wants to share this with her management team under marketing, or she wants to share it directly with the marketing team. So as part of her marketing team, she can say, hey everyone, please do this course. And so when we go back to the marketing team now, we can see that it's been promoted by Megan into the channel directly, and now any of the users of that team can just go in and click through and start the course and get kicked off on that. So if we go back to the Viva Learning homepage now, so we'll head back there, and we select My Learning up at the top. What's interesting about here is that Viva Learning can actually go, and so these are courses that might have been bookmarked, courses that have been completed. We can actually see all that detail. Viva Learning can natively connect with any popular content partners, including EDX, Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, Skillsoft. Viva Learning also integrates with a growing number of learning management systems, so LMSs, And it's all accessible right within Teams. So where users tend to spend most of their time during the day, the learning option is right there directly. So we can, again, select bookmarked, see the bookmarked courses. We can also see training that's been recommended to us by other members of the team. And so in this demo, we really just explored some of the functionalities around Microsoft Viva. We talked about some of the portions of Microsoft Viva as the employee experience platform. And we specifically viewed Viva Insights as well as Viva Learning apps within Microsoft Teams and how they can help employees take advantage and take care of their well-being, balance work, and grow their skills and career. So now that we've talked about what Viva looks like from a demo experience, we've kind of walked through the concepts around Viva. Let's talk specifically about Viva Engage, or what was once known as Yammer, as a lot of people still know it. Viva Engage brings people together across the organization to connect with leaders, coworkers, and communities. So it provides an experience where people can crowdsource answers and ideas and share their work and experience essentially. You can also help find belonging at work. So you love cats? Well, why not start a community about cats and share your cat pictures on there? So Viva Engage is part of Microsoft Viva, and it's part of that employee experience platform that's built on top of Microsoft 365 and Teams. So the Viva suite of apps gives you that ability to support connection, insight, purpose, and all that kind of stuff that we already discussed a bit earlier. So how is Engage different from Viva Connections, which we already looked at? So both apps are part of Microsoft Viva, and they're both part of that experience and are more powerful when used together. So Viva Engage provides the social fabric for Microsoft Viva and Microsoft 365, while Viva Connections is that gateway to the entire Viva experience. So Viva Connections is where people start their workday and quickly catch up with organizational news, tasks, resources, and Engage brings community and conversations into the workplace. It's the place where you go to ask questions and share knowledge, build your social capital, and extend your network. So what happened to Yammer? Well, Viva Engage surfaces all of its existing content and new employee experience pretty much powered by Yammer, and so it's powered by Yammer services. Viva Engage users can access effectively the same content and feature set as Yammer.com and Yammer mobile apps with no loss of continuity. And outside of branding changes, there are no changes to the features. So it's just a different way of looking at it. So you've got Viva Engage and you've also got Yammer. So these capabilities and investments for Microsoft 365 customers. So how does the Viva Engage app in Teams compare to Yammer.com? Generally, all the features in Yammer.com are also available in Viva Engage. However, the Viva Engage app lacks these specific capabilities. So playing live events and videos hosted on Microsoft Stream Classic on iOS, viewing or editing full community info, or viewing community files stored in the SharePoint document library. And that's pretty much it. So enjoy your exploration of Viva, and definitely recommend checking out Viva Engage. So this concludes the first segment of session 2. Let's take a quick recap on the points that we covered during this first segment. So we described Office 365 and Microsoft 365. We also took a look at M365 and how it empowers workers for hybrid and flexible work. And then we discussed M365 Copilot and how that can unlock productivity and creativity for an organization as well as its users. And we took a look at how to create Microsoft 365 trial organizations. So let's take a quick 10-minute break before moving on to the second segment of session 2. So see you shortly. All right, everybody, welcome back from break. So in this segment, which is segment 2 of session 3, we're going to learn about how business management solutions through Microsoft 365 provide people with a secure, personalized desktop experience and help organizations easily manage updates for all their devices in a really simplified admin experience. So let's get started. All right, so let's continue with our exploration of Microsoft 365 apps and services. So this is segment 2 of 2. In this session, what we want to explore is endpoint modernization, management concepts, as well as deployment options for Microsoft 365 and their analytic capabilities. So learning objectives here are learning about business management solutions through Microsoft 365, providing people with a secure, personalized desktop experience, and helping organizations easily manage updates for all devices with a simplified management or admin experience. Ultimately, after this session, you should be able to describe endpoint management capabilities in Microsoft 365, describe the differences between Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop, describe the deployment and release models for Windows as a Service, and describe the deployment methods and update channels for Microsoft 365 apps. Let's dig in. So these are some of the solutions that can help manage and protect and monitor all your organization's endpoints. So these endpoints are considered physical devices that connect to a network system, such as mobile devices, desktop computers, virtual machines, embedded devices, and servers. So these solutions can help your organization solve the challenge of device management in today's mobile and remote network environment. So let's dig into a few of these in a bit more depth. When we're talking about Microsoft Intune, what is it? Well, it's a cloud-based unified endpoint management solution. So what does that mean? Well, it's an MDM. It's an MDM, but it also does MAM, which is mobile application management. So what it does is it manages user access and simplifies its app and device management across your many devices. And so that includes mobile devices, desktop computers, virtual endpoints. You can protect access and data on organizational owned and personal devices as well. So what's really cool about that is, like I just said, the data on the organizational owned device as well as users' personal devices is still protected. So you can still protect that organizational data. Microsoft Intune supports Android open source project, iOS, iPadOS, macOS, and Windows client devices. And it integrates with other services including Entra ID, on-premise configuration manager, mobile threat defense apps, and services. So Windows 32, custom line of business apps, and more. Intune has compliance and reporting features that support a zero trust security model. Now, getting into the zero trust security model would take a lot more effort than I have time for today, but we can definitely touch on it at another point. Zero trust is a security model consisting of 3 guiding principles: verify explicitly, use least privilege access, and assume breach. So moving on, we'll talk about the other options that are available here. We've got Configuration Manager. So Configuration Manager is an on-premise management solution to manage desktops and servers and laptops and that are on your network or internet-based. So you can use Configuration Manager to manage data centers, apps, software updates, operating systems. You can cloud enable it to connect directly with Intune, as well as Entra ID, and Microsoft 365 Defender and other cloud services. So essentially it can be interconnected and really kind of illustrates that hybrid approach. So this helps with OS deployment as well as software updates. Now, co-management. Co-management combines your existing on-premise configuration manager investment with the cloud-based features in Intune. So that includes using the web-based Endpoint Manager Admin Center, which is the Intune admin center essentially, and it helps you unlock more cloud-powered capabilities like conditional access. Now, conditional access we'll definitely touch on in a later module, but that's a really powerful functionality that you're going to want to look into. So co-management enables you to concurrently manage Windows 10 or later devices by using both Configuration Manager and Microsoft Intune. There's also the tenant attach approach, which is if you need to manage that combination of both cloud and on-premise endpoints, you can use Cloud Attach to use both Intune and Configuration Manager. And Cloud Attach consists of tenant attach, co-management, and endpoint analytics. Now, tenant attach sets up synchronization between your Configuration Manager site and your Intune tenant. And this synchronization provides you with a single view for all your devices that you manage from Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. Endpoint Analytics, that's a cloud-native feature or service, that provides metrics and recommendations on the health and performance of your Windows client devices. So Endpoint Analytics is part of the Microsoft Adoption Score, and these analytics give you insight for measuring how your organization is working and the quality of the experience you're delivering for your users. So if you're looking to just understand how your endpoints are behaving in your organization, this will definitely help you, and it can help identify policies or hardware issues as well that are slowing down devices and help you, be the hero that comes in and saves the day before the user working on their giant Excel spreadsheet complains that it's crashing. Windows Autopilot. Now, this is often one that I get a lot of questions as a fast track architect. Windows Autopilot is a cloud native service that sets up and pre-configures new devices, so getting them ready for use. You can use Windows Autopilot to reset and repurpose and recover devices, but it's essentially designed to simplify the lifecycle of Windows devices for both IT and end users. So you can use Autopilot to pre-configure devices automatically and have them auto-join Entra ID or enroll devices in Intune automatically. So what's really fun about this is that you work with your supplier to send the device directly to the user, and when the user logs in the first time, they enter in their user principal name and password, and it'll automatically configure itself. Now, Entra ID, as it's now known. Every time I say that, somebody is shaking their head at me. But Azure Active Directory, as it was once known, is now Microsoft Entra ID. And it's a cloud-native service that's used by Intune to manage the identities of users and devices and groups. So the Intune policies you create are designed to target these users, devices, or groups. And when the devices are enrolled in Intune, your users sign into their devices with their Entra ID accounts. Now, Endpoint Manager Admin Center. Now, this admin center is a one-stop website, a one-stop shop essentially to add users and groups and create and manage all these crazy policies that are monitoring your policies and reporting on those policies and reporting that data. And so you use that when you're in a tenant attach or co-management scenario, as well as if you're just Intune joined directly, right? So you can manage all the policies and push those configurations out to those devices. So moving on, let's talk about Azure Virtual Desktop. So as organizations move towards remote work and cloud-based solutions such as Windows 365 and AVD, or Azure Virtual Desktop, those have become really strong, powerful tools for improving productivity and granting remote access to applications and data, all behind a secure pipeline. So Windows 365 and AVD are both virtual desktop solutions known as Desktop as a Service, or DaaS. Both these solutions allow you to experience Microsoft's client operating system, Windows. So Windows 11 is the current version and is built on the same foundation as Windows 10, but offers further enhancements such as universal search, accessibility features, desktop personalization, PC, phone syncing, and much more. So one of the interesting enhancements that will be available in Windows 11 editions coming out is Windows Copilot, which is a centralized AI assistant. And you can use Windows Copilot for a range of questions, to rewrite, summarize, explain content, or help personalize your PC to get more done. So it'll help standardize a nice approach to getting that integrated approach with a nice large language model built right into your desktop with you. So Windows 365 and AVD allow your end users to experience all these features of Windows from anywhere with internet connection. So as long as they have a compatible device, essentially, they can connect to their Windows 365 or virtual desktop instance and experience all these solutions if you've deployed them. So while these solutions offer similar functionality, there are some differences. So let's take a deeper dive into each of the solutions. So Windows 365 in particular is a cloud-based service that automatically creates a new type of Windows virtual machine, which are known as cloud PCs. So these are specifically tied to an end user. So you deploy Windows 365, you tie it to an end user, that's their desktop. Now, Windows 365 introduces a new way to experience the Windows client to organizations of all sizes. So you can securely stream a full Windows experience, including all the apps, data, and settings from the Microsoft Cloud to any personal or corporate device. And now Azure Virtual Desktop is a modern and secure desktop app virtualization solution that runs in the cloud. So Azure Virtual Desktop allows users to connect to a Windows desktop running in the cloud, and it's the only solution that delivers multi-session on Windows. So AVD gives you that ability to access your desktop applications from pretty much anywhere. One thing to note is that Azure Virtual Desktop on Surface lets you run virtual desktop infrastructure on a Surface device, and AVD on Surface blurs the lines between the local desktop experience and the virtual desktop. So where, touch, pen, ink, and biometric authentication span both that physical and virtual environment. So some really cool stuff you can do with Surface at that front. So let's talk about the Windows client. So what is the Windows client? And let's describe a little bit about the deployment and release models for Windows as a service. So Windows Client is a comprehensive desktop operating system that allows you to work efficiently and securely. And it's important to keep the desktop operating system up to date, essentially because it helps the device run efficiently and also stay protected. So let's talk about the different servicing release types. So with Windows Client, there are two release types. We've got feature updates as well as quality updates. Now, feature updates add new functionality and are released twice a year. Because these updates are more frequent, they're quite smaller. Quality updates provide security and reliability fixes, and these updates are issued once a month. So as non-security releases or combined security and non-security releases. So sometimes it's just not a security release, it's just a bug fix. And other times it is a security release as well as including some non-security bugs fixes. Now, non-security releases allow IT admins to do early validation of the content, and so that allows them to check if the content's going to cause an impact on their environment and just double check those aspects. Now, a cumulative update is a release which includes all the previous updates. So when you see that cumulative update come out, you don't have to worry about installing everything up to a certain point. It's already there included in the cumulative update. There's also different servicing channels. So servicing channels are ways to separate users into deployment groups for feature and quality updates. There are 3 service channels. Each channel provides different levels of flexibility for when these updates are delivered to client computers. There's the Windows Insider program, and so that provides organizations with the opportunity to test and provide feedback on features that will be shipped in the next feature update. So this is a really great way to see what's coming out and also provide your impact and provide your feedback on the product and help influence its changes. General Availability Channel. This receives new functionality with feature update releases annually, and this model is ideal for pilot deployments and testing of feature updates. There's also the LTSC, which is the long-term servicing channel, and it's designed for specialist systems and devices that don't run Office apps such as medical equipment or ATMs. So these devices typically perform a single task and don't need frequent updates compared to other devices in an organization. So let's talk about deployment rings. Deployment rings are a deployment method used to separate devices into a deployment timeline. So each ring comprises of a group of users or devices that receive a particular update together. So a common ring structure uses 3 deployment groups. You've got your preview, which is for planning and deployment, limited, which is for pilot and validation, and broad, which is for wide deployment. Now, deployment methods. If we dive into the deployment method approach, we're looking at the idea of successfully deploying Windows in your organization, and it's important to understand that there are different ways that it can be deployed. So there are 3 types of deployment methods. we've got the modern deployment method, the dynamic deployment method, as well as the traditional deployment method. So let's dig into the modern deployment method. So while we're looking at that, it kind of grasps both the traditional on-premise and cloud services to deliver a streamlined and cost-effective deployment experience. So we're talking Windows Autopilot or the in-place upgrade sort of approach there. Now, a dynamic deployment method enables you to configure applications and settings for specific use cases without having to deploy a new custom organizational image to each device. So subscription activation, Entra ID activation, so joining it to Entra ID, automatic mobile device management, enrollment, things like that, or provisioning a package for configuration. And then there's also the traditional deployment method, which uses existing tools to deploy operating system images, like a new computer or a computer refresh or replace scenario. So stepping into the deployment method approach, when we're talking about Microsoft 365 apps, they can be installed individually by a user on their devices, but it's often beneficial to manage the updates and deploy a customized selection of the apps to users' devices, really just ensuring that all users have the apps that they need. So when we're talking about update channels, let's dig into that a little bit more, as Microsoft 365 apps is a product that provides new and updated features for Office apps regularly. So you can control how often those users in your organization get those apps and how often they get those new features. So by specifying the update channel as needed, you can provide each update channel with 2 other types of updates that are released every month. So we've got a bit of flexibility here that we'll talk about in a bit more detail. So we've got security updates. So these are updates that help just keep Office protected from potential malicious attacks. Now, there's also non-security updates, which are quality updates. So those are updates that provide more stability or performance improvements to Office. How updates are installed for Microsoft 365 apps. There aren't separate downloads for feature, security, or non-security updates. The updates are cumulative. So the most current update includes all the updates that have been previously released for that update channel. So while updates are being downloaded, your users can continue to use Office apps, and after they're downloaded, all the available updates for that update channel will install at the same time. So if any Office apps are open, your users will be prompted to save their work and close the apps so that the updates can finish installing. Learn how the analytics capabilities through Microsoft 365 help people build better work habits, and business leaders improve the employee experience and business outcome with data-driven insights and reports. So after completing this learning objective, you'll be able to describe how Viva Insights help people and organizations work smarter and achieve balance in work-life relationship and how everything works together in that sense. Describe the capabilities of the Microsoft 365 Admin Center and User Portal, and describe the reports available in Microsoft 365 Admin Center and the other different admin centers. So let's dig right into it. Talking about personal insights. So these are insights that only you can see that help you identify opportunities to help improve your well-being and boost your productivity. Now, that is specific to you. It is protected. Only you can see these insights. So this helps you understand teamwork habits. So it gives you much needed visibility into work habits that might lead to burnout or stress. And then you can also see organizational trends, which help qualifying managers and business leaders see how their work culture is affecting aspects of employee well-being and productivity. So let's dive deeper into what personal insights do for you. So Viva Insights in Microsoft Teams and on the web lets you see your personal well-being, stay connected, protect time, effective meetings, inspiration library, and the Viva Insights through email gives you a daily briefing as well as insights in the Outlook add-in. So what do team insights look like? So let's go back 1 second here. So when we're talking about personal insights, what does that mean? So yeah, it gives you access to these personal well-being sort of approaches, right? And it talks about protecting time and things like that. It gives you just analytics that help you understand how you are working in your day-to-day. So Are you responding to emails outside of working hours? Are you staying connected to the people that you should be connected to? Are you protecting your time effectively? Are you scheduling focus time so you can get deep work done? Are you keeping an eye on your meetings? Are they being effective? Is there an agenda? Things like that. It just provides you with some insight into how you're currently working and drive improvement in that sense. Now, if we're looking at team insights, so teamwork habits provide key recommendations and actions. So acting on tasks you promised to get done or that team members asked you to complete. So this allows you to see allows you to see important emails that you might have missed and documents from team members that you haven't read. So it kind of gives you a call out that lets you see that. It also sets up automatic scheduling of one-on-one time with your team or rescheduling if a conflict comes up. So you can kind of hand off that busy work so that Viva takes care of that for you. This also helps you view and consider changes for quiet hours, and also lets you see your team meeting habits. So setting team norms, shared plans, no meeting days, things like that. So organizational insights, that helps managers and leaders understand how their organization is succeeding, essentially. So employee well-being, meeting effectiveness, manager connection. So it gives leaders better understanding of how their work is impacting the overall employee morale, as well as the business all up. Let's talk about the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So the Admin Center is where you can manage your Microsoft 365 subscription. And to access the Admin Center, you just have to go to admin.microsoft.com. Now you sign in with your admin account. So that could be your personal account. You might have to PIM, you might have to do a bunch of different things, but by default, you log into admin.microsoft.com with your global admin account. Now, the Microsoft 365 Admin Center has two views. There's a simplified view as well as a dashboard view. You can switch between these two views. The simplified view helps smaller organizations manage their most common tasks, like managing users, subscriptions, teams, things like that. And the dashboard view includes a more complex, settings and tasks sort of approach, right? So you can also customize the dashboard by adding tile cards and tasks for things that you perform frequently. The Microsoft 365 user portal, however, users can sign in directly through www.office.com or from portal.office.com. And only the apps the user has licenses for will appear there. So the portal allows for quick, easy viewing and editing of files saved online through OneDrive. Also, just a note that the Office app recently changed names. It's now called Microsoft 365 app. So when you go and log into Microsoft 365 or office.com or portal.office.com, you'll see Microsoft 365 now. So what's something that an admin would care about when it comes to managing a SaaS application like Microsoft 365? Well, insights, how are employees using Microsoft 365 apps and services? So let's look at these reports. What kind of reports are available? What kind of analytics we can get out of this? First of all, you do need to have admin permissions to be able to view these reports. So to access the Admin Center, make sure you do go to admin.microsoft.com and sign in with your global admin account. Alternatively, you can also access the Microsoft 365 Admin mobile app. So you can use the Microsoft 365 Usage Analytics report through Power BI as well to get more insights on how your organization is adopting the various apps and services within Microsoft 365. And you can visualize and analyze Microsoft 365 usage data and create custom reports and share the insights within your organization. You can also gain insights into how specific regions or departments are using Microsoft 365. So it's a lot of really good information there that'll help you understand where things are sitting within your organization. So the reports that are available in other admin centers gives you access to, a ton of different visibility and metrics that are available for the different services or different products, such as Exchange, Teams, and more. So you can access those admin centers because they're going to be under their own admin center essentially through admin.microsoft.com, and then select the appropriate admin center for the service that you want to look at. So each of these specialist admin centers gives you more options for specific areas, including reports. So the following describes kind of a really high level view of what kind of reports might be available within each of these individual admin centers. So if we're talking about, let's say, security, right? So Microsoft 365 Defender, that would be security.microsoft.com. In this admin center, you can view information about security trends, track the protection status of your identities, the different protection status of that data, devices, apps, infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. When we're talking about compliance, so Microsoft Purview, so that's compliance.microsoft.com. There we can see, statuses on trends for compliance, Microsoft 365 devices. So really focused on that Purview aspect, which would be the compliance of your organization. Endpoint Manager. This one you can see reports through Microsoft Intune and endpoint compliance. So are your devices healthy? Do they have all their updates? What are the trends in your organization? And so to find that, it's endpoints.microsoft.com. Entra ID. So to view activity reports, which include registration and usage. So these reports help you understand the behavior of users in your organization. So like registrations and sign-ins. And of course, Exchange Online. These will show you reports on mail flow, how your organization and your mailbox migration structure is going. If you're in the process of migrating to Exchange Online, you'll be able to see reports on your batches that are created for your organization there as well. And SharePoint. So SharePoint Online, this admin center allows you to see reports on security and compliance of your data within SharePoint. So these reports include, links that have been shared, potential oversharing, sensitivity labels that have been applied to files, and then monitoring for sensitive content. Teams gives you a usage report on insights and information on Teams usage, as well as those usage patterns. Like, how are your users using Teams? Are they making phone calls, or are they just doing impromptu, meetings within Teams directly? So a lot of really great, interesting reports that are available across those different admin centers. So just keep in mind that it depends on what you're looking for specifically. If you're looking for information about user behavior, then you might want to check Entra ID first. If you're looking for device status, Endpoint Manager would be the right place to look first. It depends on the report that you're trying to get to. So let's kick off a demo here where we're going to dive into an exploration of the admin center and some of the different functionalities that are available there. Okay, so in this demo, we'll look at features of the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and we'll walk through how to manage your dashboard, view a variety of admin tools, tasks, reports, and the other admin centers available. We kind of lightly touched on that in the previous Explore Microsoft 365 Tenant demo, but we're just going to touch on this in a bit more depth here. So what we'll do is we'll open up our browser and we'll go to admin.microsoft.com. And then on the home page here, what we can do is start customizing a bit of our dashboard. So if we click on Dashboard View up at the top right, these are different views that are available for administrators within a Microsoft 365 tenant. So typically, when we're looking at a Microsoft 365 Business Premium tenant, we'll always start in the simplified view, which typically shows us all of the most important, most common tasks that an administrator would have inside of a Microsoft 365 Business Premium tenant. So things like the users, teams, subscriptions, items to go to learn, and things, and suggestions to improve the organizational configuration, things like that. If we go to Dashboard View, however, now we get into a more customizable approach where we can add and customize our own cards and things like that. So what we can do down at the bottom, first of all, it's telling me, we should finish setting up our Business Premium. I'm just going to ignore that because for this portion, I don't really need to go through that, but that is something that you can do, and it's a guided approach to getting your deployment established. In this case, what I want to do is, let's say I'm already good to go. I got everything set up. I can see the different cards that are available here. So I've got a Microsoft Teams card, user management, billing, threats and antivirus, some training guides and assistance, as well as 365 apps with a little bit of information around their configurations. I can also add additional cards. So let's say I want to add a Azure AD card, or let's go with domains. Let's go with Intune device. Let's just add all the cards. Why not? Let's just see what that looks like. It'll make our dashboard very, very occupied, but at the same time, maybe that's what I want. So let's go and take a look after we've done that. And we can see now that the dashboard has added a bunch of different information. So we've got Intune device enrollment, Protect Data on mobile apps. We've got our setup, how are our services set up, and some suggestions around that. We've also got service advisories that are currently active, a bunch of different unread messages within the message center where there might be some reporting going on. We've also got active users and kind of a visibility into our tenancy and what's being used at the moment. There's a bunch of different options here that we can go and expand on. And so this dashboard lets us customize it. So let's say I really am, I'm a device manager and I want to make sure that my Windows updates are always applied and up to date. So I can go here and make sure that that card is on the top, and then the next one over that I really care about is, say, billing. So we can reorganize this and remove cards as we want by just clicking on the ellipsis and saying remove. We don't have to keep the cards. We can remove all the cards if we want and just have nothing on there if we want it. It's really up to you. You can customize the experience to your own desire as an administrator. Now, some of the interesting admin tasks that we can look at is on the left-hand side, which we kind of touched on before. The little hamburger icon here, the navigation menu, we can click on this and see how it expands into additional items inside the admin center. This we can also say show all, because by default it's just showing us pinned content, which we can customize as well. So I could say add security, compliance, and endpoint manager, because those are the three that I care about. And you can see as they get pinned to the top under admin centers here. Or we could remove them and then they just get hidden by default when we're showing only pinned. So it depends on your style, how you want to handle it. Another option within here from an admin perspective is if we're looking under billing, we can also unpin billing. If it's something that we don't care about or we do care about, then we want to have it really top forefront. We can also look at information around reporting. We can look at information around support. So if you're looking to go and place a support ticket, we have that option here under support, where we can deep dive and start looking at additional information around current support cases and things like that. And we'll touch on that a bit farther along. When we're looking at reporting, though, this is one of the interesting aspects of the admin center, is we've got two really interesting reports here. One of them is the adoption score. And so adoption score lets us, gives us insights into our organization's digital transformation journey. And that's through use of Microsoft 365 and the technology experiences that support it. So usage report is another alternate report that gives us a different view. However, this one might be really interesting as you're rolling out your adoption, right? If you're starting to adopt Microsoft 365 in your organization, then this will help you track how is it going? You've just released Teams. You've allowed people to create their own teams. Are they actually doing it? How does that teamwork look? When are people sharing information? How are they sharing it? So this gives you that visibility into your use case and how the organization is actually taking advantage of the product. From a usage standpoint, now this gets into a more detailed usage report based on your actual individual products. So you're going to see, so usage reports helps us see how our employees are using the different services and how they're tied to the Microsoft 365 subscription. So we can really deep dive and start drilling into individual services. Like let's say we want to look at, for instance, OneDrive. So we want to see, how many accounts do we have that are enabled for OneDrive? What is their current file limits? This is obfuscated by default, and that's something that you can enable to see actually the owner principal name if you wanted to. But that's also a compliance issue if it does come up. So might be just some considerations to make there. Talk to the appropriate people in the organization. But from an account, files, and storage perspective, we've got visibility into seeing how storage is being used and what that looks like. So obviously this is a test tenant, and so I'm not using very much storage in my OneDrive account or accounts across the 24 users that are part of this tenant. So additionally, there are additional admin centers on the left-hand side here. We can see there's security, compliance, endpoint manager, identity, which we touched on previously. There's the Exchange Online Admin Center, SharePoint, and Teams. Now, one thing to call out really quickly is just that the SharePoint Admin Center also covers the OneDrive portion of the administration aspect. So just keep that in mind as you're walking through your configurations, but that's how you can view your admin centers. So in this demo, what we explored were the features of Microsoft 365 Admin Center and how to manage our dashboard, how to view our admin tasks and reports and other admin centers that are available. All right, everybody, this concludes part 1 of the virtual training day. So let's recap all of the content that we've seen so far, and we've touched on many topics, definitely drinking from the fire hose here. What is Microsoft 365 was a major topic that we touched on, as well as the productivity solutions that were available in Microsoft 365, like the Office apps and OneDrive and SharePoint. We touched on collaboration solutions as well in Microsoft 365, like Teams, Outlook, and Yammer, and Viva Engage, and all that kind of great stuff. We also looked at some baseline knowledge around cloud computing and how it enables us to access our data and services from anywhere. We talked about the benefits of using cloud services, such as scalability, reliability, security, amongst other things. And we also discussed different types of cloud services, like software as a service, or platform as a service, or infrastructure as a service, and understanding how those all relate and which one to choose given the situation. We also looked at endpoint modernization, where we talked about management concepts and deployment options in Microsoft 365. We touched on all the different analytic capabilities as well that are available in Microsoft 365, such as Power BI, My Analytics, and Workspace Analytics. So just want to thank you for your attendance so far, and we look forward to seeing you in part 2 of this Microsoft 365 virtual training day, where we're talking about Microsoft 365 fundamentals. So see you soon.